The birth of a legend. At around AD 70, it was announced to the Roman people that there would be a new amphitheater, Colosseum, built on lush land near the center of the city in Rome, Italy. The Roman Colosseum took nearly a decade to build, which was actually relatively quick given the scale of the project, the biggest amphitheater in the world. The Colosseum officially opened in AD 80 with a festival including 100 days of games. Measuring some 620 by 513 feet, the Colosseum was the largest amphitheater in the Roman world. Unlike many amphitheaters which had been dug into hillsides to provide adequate support, the Colosseum was a freestanding structure made of stone and concrete. The distinctive exterior had 3 stories of arched entrances, a total around 80, supported by semicircular columns. Each story contained columns of a different order or style. Located near the main entrance of the Colosseum was the Arch of Constantine. Inside the Colosseum had seating for more than 50,000 spectators, who may have been arranged according to social ranking, but were most likely packed into space like sardines into a can. Awnings were introduced from the top story in order to protect the audience from the hot Roman sun as they watched gladiator combats, hunts, wild animal fights, and possibly even larger combats, such as mock naval arrangements, for which the arena was said to be flooded with water. They would flood the arena with water to have mock naval engagements. That's pretty crazy, and it was very expensive to do something at that scale. The Colosseum lasted officially around 4 centuries, until the struggles of the Western Roman Empire and the gradual change in public tastes put an end to large public entertainments by the 6th century AD. Even by that time, the arena had already suffered damage due to natural phenomenon such as lightning and earthquakes. In the centuries to come, the Colosseum was abandoned completely and used as a quarry for numerous building projects, including the cathedrals of St. Peter's and St. John. Beginning in the 18th century, various popes sought to conserve the area as a Christian site. In the 20th century, a combination of weather, natural disasters, neglect, and vandalism had destroyed nearly 2/3 of the original Colosseum, including all of the arena's marble seats and its elements. Restoration efforts began in the 1990s and have proceeded over the years as the Colosseum continues to be a leading attraction for tourists from all over the world. And they actually had a big renovation that spanned from 2013 to 2016 to try and restore some of the outer walls of the Colosseum. I would say at this point, looking at it, it's very hard to really tell exactly where the seating was because unfortunately there is no seating left, but you can kind of see the way at which it was shaped, and it has become obviously a huge tourist attraction. Now, in terms of the Colosseum, when you look at it, one of the things I wanted to find, like the earliest photo we have of the Colosseum that's actually real and not a drawing, and this might be one of the earliest ones we've seen. You can see it still looks, I mean, obviously it's in complete ruins, but it still looks relatively fresh looking at it from this photo. This was well over 250 years old, but there are some interesting photos and ideas on how it deteriorated over the years. And yes, it did have that nice retractable shade. You could say, oh, it's the first retractable roof in the world. It wasn't officially a retractable roof, just kind of a shade. You know how many of the stadiums have now where they'll actually have an overhang which will protect the fans. Well, theirs was retractable. They had a version of it where it could overhang and protect a lot of the fans from the sun, putting them in shade by bringing it out if they had an event during the day. When it comes to the interior seating inside the Colosseum, the capacity to be specific, there has been some different estimates and some people butting heads on the actual capacity. According to some people, the Colosseum could seat up to 87,000 people, although modern estimates put the figure around 50K. And the seating was mainly based on class, with the more exclusive seating, of course, being towards the bottom and the upper deck being kind of where the peasants would be or the lower class. The Colosseum also had supporting buildings nearby that were linked to the games that were taking place at the Colosseum. To the east of the Colosseum are remains for a training school for gladiators. This was connected to the Colosseum by an underground passage to allow for easy access for the gladiators going from their training site to the Colosseum. The modern restoration of the Colosseum happened starting in 2011 when local officials agreed to a $25 million restoration project, with work originally planned to begin at the end of 2011, taking up to 2.5 years due to the controversial nature of using public-private partnership to fund the restoration. The work was delayed and began in 2013. The restoration of the first full cleaning and repair inside the Colosseum happened from 2013 to 2016, with the first stage to clean and restore the Colosseum's facade and replace the metal enclosures that block the ground level arches. After 3 years, the work was completed in July of 2016. And that is basically the condition that it sits in here today. Now, when it comes to the details on some of the games and events at the Colosseum, there was a wide variety in terms of them. The shows were always given by private individuals rather than the state. They had strong religious elements, but were also demonstrations of power and family prestige, and were immensely popular. Another major attraction was the animal hunt. This utilized a great variety of wild beasts, mainly imported from Africa and the Middle East, including creatures such as giraffes, lions, panthers, leopards, bears, tigers, and crocodiles. Battles and hunts were often staged amid elaborate sets with movable trees and buildings. These events could be huge in scale. Some of the events have said to be hosted involving around 11,000 animals and 10,000 gladiators over the course of 123 days. That's just a single event. During the early days of the Colosseum, some ancient writers recorded that the building was used for simulated sea battles happening around AD. They described the arena as being filled with water for a display of trained swimming horses and bulls. Beneath the Colosseum, a network of subterranean passageways once used to transport wild animals and gladiators to the arena opened to the public in 2010. The Colosseum is also the site for the Roman Catholic ceremonies in the 20th and 21st century, and you can just get a look at some of the photos of what the Colosseum looks like today. And one of the greatest wonders, you look at the Colosseum and its deterioration today, why wouldn't they just totally knock it down? I mean, at some point in the 17th or the 18th century, with it getting looted and things stolen from it, and lightning hit it, and with it deteriorating, taking up such a large area in Rome, you would have figured that there would have been some people that would have thought, why not just knock the thing down at this point, especially in the earlier years. Obviously, as it gets later and later, and now here we are today, it is so legendary and so historic, no one could ever consider knocking something like it down, even though it is completely deteriorated. We've actually gone and they've invested millions and millions of dollars to restore it, even though it is already looking like, basically 2/3 of it are removed at this point, around 33%. The original shell and then one of the sides of the exterior walls is still remaining, with unfortunately no seating. It would have been cool if we could have seen at least a few sections of seats still remaining, but unfortunately it is a complete shell, and then even the base of it is a complete shell with the entire floor being knocked out. But either way, guys, that is the rise and fall of the Roman Colosseum, lasting in the early days, going abandoned, getting restored, being used for several different things in its life, including a wool factory, and there it is today. And they did release a few years ago what formerly was the biggest Lego set in the world, the Roman Colosseum, the ruins of it. You can see that. I believe it got passed by the US or the world map, something like that, in terms of total pieces, but it is a gigantic set. Either way, that is going to... one of the things I will say, it would be cool if they made another set with the arena actually fully built. I mean, it would be so many more pieces, but imagine if they made another Lego set the exact same scale, but not in ruins, just regular, and then you could also have the attached shade on top and make it retractable with Lego pieces. I don't know, I think that'd be kind of cool, but either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.